Transformers more than meets the eye. Evil battle the Decepticons. So, what if? I mean, hello on the local brothers of the Maverick Nation. I'm actually Maverick, and welcome to Naruto. What if Naruto was a Transformer? Part 2. Basically, yeah, I have that. You guys may be wondering, hold on a sec. Welcome to, well, basically, welcome to What If Naruto was a Transformer, Part 2. And Part 1, we did a lot of establishing of everything, even Naruto's Transformer name, Scrap Drive. He knew he was going to have to make a name for himself. So he was going to have to spread out the whole, lore of said name. So, yeah. Basically, now the question is, how exactly do you go about doing that? And also, like Soundwave, and basically Megatron, who was the boss of all of the freaking Decepticons, is he gonna have a bunch of, dudes doing stuff? Well, I guess his minions. Well, if you actually had your listening caps on in Part 1, you would know that is a definite yes. However, didn't mention something. Something, I think it has to do with the Allspark and, blood or something. Basically, Naruto, I'm going to say that, inside each and every one of these guys is a little tiny piece of a miniature Allspark that, powers them. Like Bumblebee and Starscream. But the Decepticons and the Autobots, theirs are different. You can definitely tell it's kind of like a animal cell, plant cell kind of way. One is made different from the other. And, well, basically, Naruto, since he's a very unique child, and a very special one at that, he has basically been given special Transformer powers, a lot of different special Transformer powers. And one of those is exactly what I've just been trying to describe. Basically, whatever sort of blood implant, the blood imprint he's able to leave, or like if you ingest a certain amount of his blood or whatever, like it's a very high chance that you indeed will become like one of his minions. And so basically, Naruto. How does Naruto first figure this out, though? Like, how would Naruto figure out about about you know this thing? Hmm. Well, technically, the numbers that these robot guys are technically isn't the order in which he encountered. Like, there could be a certain number, and it could be a different number than a certain other number, and he would encounter the other one first or afterwards. And so it's no surprise that the one he basically knows as number 8 or X Factor, that's basically, I have already told you guys all the names. However, all the different individuals, I have not told you. Because it's all different people who end up becoming like his minions. Basically, whenever Naruto eventually gets back to his apartment, he realizes in his normal state, he is a lot bigger than his apartment. And so he has to shrink back down to like a humanoid form. But still he finds it a little bit difficult to enter and exit the actual, his actual house. However, whenever he actually goes in to his house, he sees it has been completely blown dry, like sky high. Yeah, while he was out, some crazy shit went down. People just decided that since the demon was gone, they were gonna, take their frustrations out on his house. And so it is a literal mess. An unrepairable mess. Or at least if he were to be able to repair it, it would take him forever. At least in his eyes, it would. So, currently he isn't even aware of his first ability that, is, like, really special. He is aware of his ability to shrink and transform into, like ground navigating things, like ground navigation and like flight methods of transportation. He knows about the methods of transportation, and he knows about the fact that he can shrink and grow in size. He knows all about that. But he doesn't know about his really special shit that he has. And, well, basically, in the literal heap that is his house, literally barely being supported. And just by Naruto entering, it starts to fall apart. And the number they did on it. And so literally, Naruto is left with nothing but a garbage heap, which used to be his house. To, actually accommodate himself with. And so he just falls asleep on the garbage heap. Ah, damn it, I did not mean for that to rhyme. And, well, wakes up. However, he notices he doesn't really feel all that hurt, even though there was a lot of hard surfaces. And then that's whenever he remembers, oh yeah, he's a robot. He probably wouldn't be all, easily hurt. From, things like that. So yeah, that more and more things are kind of starting to pull together and make sense. Like, why he wouldn't be hurt by something, or why he wouldn't be able to, do something, or would be able to do something that he couldn't do before. Things are starting to actually pull themselves together slowly, but not in the way that Naruto is exactly wanting them to. Just wants this nightmare to be over. However, he went to sleep, he woke up, and he is still this. Then he remembers why he has this feeling inside of him. Because he remembers that part of him that wants this to all be over, that's the old Naruto. This new Naruto isn't Naruto. It's Scrap Drive, the new name he gave for himself. The only reason why he's even referring to himself as Naruto at all is because he still has to make that name. He still has to have other people know the name Scrap Drive. He has to make the name famous or infamous, either one. He doesn't really care at this point. All he wants really right now is, oddly enough, not really revenge on the people who did this to his house. Because, also, oddly enough, feels like there's more important things than getting petty revenge. I mean, what good is it gonna do him? I mean, it's just a bunch of loser thugs. And people, probably just also a bunch of villagers drunk off their ass. And, well, so, Naruto's thinking, then what's this sensation I'm feeling? This sensation, it almost feels like I'm channeling those two robots through my, can't be blood, robot. Robots don't have blood. So, my very existence, I'm channeling their memories. And I'm finding this awkward energy. Yeah. Paper. I still hope I'll be able to write. This one eye doesn't hinder me. And actually, surprising Naruto, he has actually pretty damn good penmanship. He writes down 9 names. Originally not really understanding why. And that's whenever I start to think. Maybe Maybe. Actually, he doesn't really, like, write down 9 names. He just writes down the 9 names of his minions, and he has like a little slash, and on the other side of the slash, it would be the name of someone. Possibly a member of the village. He can't exactly remember straight. Just maybe 1 or 2 days ago, possibly 3, 4, 5, he doesn't know. He was in the academy, and now he's like this. Do they even care that he's like this? Do they even care that, for all intents and purposes, he might as well be gone? Do they even care about whatever condition he was last seen in? Do they even care at all? And that's whenever a kid and some weird dude, basically this weird guy, trying to, I guess, explain to the kid how to become the Hokage. That's whenever Naruto think he wanted to become the Hokage. And then he ended up like this. He only wanted to become the Hokage so that they would recognize him and stop treating him like dirt. The people of the village, that is. And look where it got him. However, he begins to think. The name the kid has, Konohamaru, he begins to study up by secretly following the child. Basically going full creeper mode. Doing whatever he can to stay hidden away from the gaze of the boy. Eventually he would figure out his clan name. Sarutobi. His name was Konohamaru Sarutobi. That was the name of their village. Konohagakure. It was straight in the kid's name. Sarutobi, that means he has to be related to the old man. There has to be some way he can communicate with a kid. Figure something out. However, the kid seemed to find Naruto on one of the days whenever he would just simply be relaxing on the pile that used to be his house. You know, the big heap that used to be where he lived. It actually felt quite relaxing. Being able to do this, no one bothering him because no one recognized him. And so basically that would all change whenever all of a sudden he would hear hard banging on his head. Feel it too. Although the actual attacks wouldn't hurt as much as the sound they would make going up against his head. Kid, stop that! The child would begin to freeze. So wait, you are alive? Naruto would then begin to get up, remembering, oh yeah, that's right, he's this. And the kid is still normal. Basically, Naruto would be thinking, you're Konohamaru Sarutobi, the one that everyone keeps on calling the Honorable Grandson. You're the grandson of the third Hokage. And Konohamaru would be like, wait, how do you know all this? And, well, Naruto would just simply state, I wasn't always like this, kid. I was normal, like you. But then something terrible happened. Freak incident, and I was turned into this. And Konohamaru would say, freak incident? Wait, what's that stuff coming off that claw hand of yours? And Naruto would begin to realize, yeah, there has been strange energy emanating from Naruto. This energy, the only reading he can seem to get on it from his one eye, it keeps on repeating the word Allspark. And that's what he would tell Konohamaru. Kid, the only reading I'm getting off of my own energy coming off of my own hand is something about an Allspark. I don't even understand half of that shit, so you're as good as me. But Konohamaru didn't seem to be really satisfied with that. Konohamaru would think, this is so stupid. I'm gonna go find that trainer guy. Maybe if I show you over, maybe if I show him you, maybe then we can get something started. And Naruto would deeply advise against this, but Konohamaru would already be gone before he could really do much. However, whenever Konohamaru tried to voice out his opinions, and everything, basically everything about the whole matter, Ebisu wouldn't believe him about some sort of giant robot. And Konohamaru would just be dumbfounded, like, Ebisu basically straight up said to his face that he didn't believe him. Stop lying. That it wasn't good for his image. Not if he wanted to become a Hokage, at least. And so, Konohamaru would march back to, feeling defeated over towards where he believed this giant robot would still be. However, Naruto would have moved over towards a sort of secluded area. One that was a lot more quiet and away from the rest of the village. And Konohamaru would be like, finally I found you. Sheesh. You just tell me your name before you go off like that? And, well, Naruto would see this as his first chance. Well, I used to have one name, but seeing as I don't seem to be able to get out of this, I've made another name for myself. A name that would fit better for what I am now. My old name was Naruto Uzumaki. However, as I am right now, I am scrap dried. And Konohamaru would think, wow, so cool. Say, what can you really do with that sparkly power anyways? And that's what Naruto would think. He doesn't seem to really know what it is. But if it's channeling through his hand, the one claw hand, that seems to stick out more than the other. Almost like it's something to lure someone in. And, well, Konohamaru would think, maybe, I don't really know, but what if I were to shut my eyes and, well, and basically Konohamaru would take off his headwear as he would show his forehead. Basically, you use your hand and touch my forehead. See what happens. And, well, whenever Naruto did this, not long after he began to touch Konohamaru's head, for some reason he would get the weird feeling, he would feel compelled to ask Konohamaru why he was out here. Naruto had his own reasons, but why was he out here? Besides, well, wanting to find him. Konohamaru would say that basically, whenever he tried telling his teacher about him, pretty much basically gave him the equivalent of being laughed at and then, at the same time slapped on the wrist. by completely brushing off anything he had to say about the matter. Honorable grandson or not, apparently no one was willing to believe anything about a giant robot. And well, Naruto would think, so the village is doing this to you because of me. Well, shit. How can I make it up to you, kid? And Konohamaru would say, first of all, my name is Konohamaru, and second of all, if you really want to make it up to me, you don't have to, but you just seem so cool. Like you act so chillax even though you're a big giant robot that can shrink and grow in size, and if I heard you right, you can transform into different modes of transportation. Like, you haven't tried, like, water, but you do know you can land and sky. I guess the only reason why you haven't tried water is because, electronics don't exactly like water most of the time. And Naruto's like, damn kid, are you a freaking mind reader? Anyways, I see, your old man, heard he was a jack of all trades, and he had a title of God of Shinobi, knowing all the 5 nature transformations, and even having the power to summon and use seals. And he even had the ability to use a powerful weapon. And his hand-to-hand combat skill is rivaled by none in the village either. So, shouldn't you be just as powerful? Or at least, maybe the reason why they're not taking you so seriously about the whole idea is because they think you're just gonna grow up to be an average shinobi. It's like everybody else. You may be the honorable grandson, but they still know that what most ninjas get, if not killed, is average. Like, if they aren't getting killed, they're getting an average ranking on their skill level. At least that's most shinobi. And that's what I've heard of from hearsay. However, I believe I could help you. Yeah. This power. I seem to be unlocking something. However, at the same time that I'm unlocking this something, whatever it is, your body seems to be changing. And that's whenever that sound of, whoa, I look awesome! And that's whenever Naruto would see Konohamaru legit looking awesome. X Factor obviously looking like X from the Mega Man X series if he was a Transformer. That's basically the closest description I can give. X if he was a Transformer. Because of X's X Factor. And, how basically Naruto was talking about all the 5 different nature transformations. Basically, with all this potential unlocked, there is indeed an X Factor. By allowing Konohamaru access to his own, little piece of the Allspark, he's given him, free reign over powers to do with, all 5 nature transformations. Just like his grandpa. And his grandpa is the freaking 3rd Hokage. And so basically, Konohamaru is like, now all I have to do is find a weapon and get good at hand-to-hand combat. Because I don't think summoning and seals are really going to matter at this point with me this big and being able to shrink and grow and even possibly also be able to transform like how you can. And Naruto's just like, I almost said Izuku. Naruto's just like, well, try it, kid. And Konohama's just like, okay. Huh? It's like, like, it would be like the Transformer sound effect. And basically, the base, transformation that Konohamaru can do right now is something akin to a fighter jet. And considering it's something akin to a fighter jet, it can, freaking bullet hell. Just massive bullet hell. And Konohamaru, from several failed landing attempts, actually does indeed figure out that not only is he super freaking durable, but, well, oh boy. He's super freaking durable in more ways than one. And some of them can even be deadly for the people that are trying to fight him. Durable as in, not just durable, he can take a hard hit. Or, take a hard fall. Crash and burn. But in this, it's, literal burn. Because he can literally, freaking... if he's on fire, or if he's, frozen, or, just, anything like that. Elemental damage. Since he has all the 5 chakra natures, any sort of elemental damage, he can either, sustain a lot of, or he can just regenerate from somehow, using some sort of all-spark regeneration. So he can either, take hits like a boss, and, the fire not even, hurt him, or, the ice not even hurt him, whatever it is, lightning, God knows what. And should he actually train himself more, this could also go for, like, the releases, like the nature transformation release things, like freaking lava release, freaking oil release, freaking scorch release, freaking storm release, all that shit. That's only if he, like, trains really hard, though. It's like whenever he'll be able to survive those. It's like only if he, like, trains really freaking hard. But, like, talking about, like, crashing and burning, like, he can take heavy hits. Like, he's tussled with Naruto before. Now, like, given, like, every single time that they've fought, Naruto's won. And you can't really call it a fight, it's more like a sparring match. And even calling it that's a stretch. But Naruto does indeed realize that Konohamaru and his new body is freaking, like, is resilient AF. Like, his resiliency is on par with God knows what. And so he decides that he's going to give Konohamaru his own special nickname, or just name at this point, just like name at this point, because, like, God knows if he can even transform back into his human form. If it's anything like Naruto's, like, Transformer state, then that's a definite no-go. And indeed, Konohamaru cannot. So yeah, Konohamaru is basically like, so you have the ability to make other people like you? In a way? Yeah, in a way. He makes sure to add in a way. Super powerful, really cool fighting robots. Super fighting robot, Mega Man. Basically, for that, yeah, all that, Naruto's like, I guess I do. I guess I can just, like, I have this ability to, like, since my, I guess you could call it an all spark, is kind of like a fused / merged one. It's, like, superior to others, and thus it can create new ones. And whenever one of my created all sparks reacts with someone or something, it will become like me. Just like what happened with you. And Konohamaru would basically be like, well, ain't that just a thing? Like, Konohamaru was just like, ain't that just a thing? And, well, Naruto just decides that in order to be crafty to, like, throw off people that might want to, like, become their enemies in the future, he's going to make the number scheme that he's coming up with in secret, like, very, like, haphazard seeming. So that's why Konohamaru's Transformer form is number 8. And basically, like, him and Konohamaru both come up, like, something X Factor. Because of literally what he is, like what he can do. You know, it's like an endless gauntlet of, like, different elemental power. And he can take, like, hits like freaking Juggernaut. Like, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! So, yeah. Basically, Konohamaru would like that name. He would like it. You'd be like, okay, so you still said you were making your own name. And I guess now it's going to be easier seeing as you're not just alone. And Naruto would be like, right. The more of us there are, the more the people are going to have to forced to pay attention to us. The more they're going to have to recognize us. And not want to get on our bad side. And Konohamaru was like, yeah, I like this. This is fun. And Naruto's like, may I remind you about the intense training we always have to go through? And, you know, Konohamaru was just like, well, even that's a little fun until you start breaking me apart. But hey, I guess it's a good thing to be as smart as you are in that little robot brain of yours. Because you always know where my parts are and exactly where to put them. Yeah, that's another thing with Naruto. He kind of like has like a shared hive mind. Like he like knows like anything and everything about every single one of his minions. So that's why every time that they spar and a part just so happens to go flying, Naruto can just be like, oh, there it is, and just like put it back on perfectly fine. And he's like a master at doing this by now. Yeah, he's been learning some skills, like not only his like super all spark power ability thing that he can do with his hand, and just automatically do that to somebody. But he can like his also like his special, thing that about like the entire hive mind thing, like the one mind controlling it all. Like he's top billing, so yay for him. And so, who would be the next one? Well, I think that would indeed be easy. And why exactly do I say this? Well, as I'm looking down the list, I'm seeing the different names. There's only two other people that actually live in the Hidden Leaf Village that are actually on this besides Konohamaru. And it's Ino and Hinabi. Why Ino and Hinabi? Well, first of all, basically, there'd be Ino at her flower shop, and, well, basically, there'd be something flying overhead, and it would look like it was gonna start some trouble. And basically, would basically go out of her flower shop and, want to check this. And it would actually be a good thing because that would mean that Konohamaru wouldn't have to chase her. And, like, break anything. Because, Konohamaru, their voices still sound like their voices. Basically, Konohamaru would turn from his fighter jet form back into his regular form and basically be like, and just land like boom. And it'd be like, what? And Konohamaru would be like, you, me, in secret, talk. Like, talk, in secret. And he would just take her, and an interesting ability that Konohamaru has, teleportation. You can teleport shit. And, well, or at least it seems like he's teleporting, but he's not actually teleporting. He's actually moving even faster than, like, body flicker allows you to move. It's like body flicker on Super Saiyan juice. Like body flicker on steroids. Is how fast he's moving. So fast that Ino can't actually tell that he's, moving. And she actually thinks that he's teleported. But he didn't actually teleport. Like, if he teleported, she would have known. Because he can do that, but it's very short distance teleportation. What he did right there was just like some sort of... And basically, it would just be like... Konami would be like, oh, trust me, if I was teleporting, you would know. This... this is what I just did right there. That's just a little thing me and the boss like to call the super body... the super body flicker. And Ino would be like, the super body flicker? And she had heard about the body flicker technique. What the devil? Okay, something weird just happened. Basically, Konohamaru would try to let her down as gently as possible, explaining everything. And that life, the way that it's been going, has actually been pretty fun. However, he has been wondering, how is his grandpa doing? Is he worried about him at all? Like, has there been any sort of search party sent out? Because if there has, they sure haven't seen anything. And, it's like, they, you keep on saying they like there's somebody else with you. Like, your boss. And basically, it's like, fine. The boy with the whiskers who got blasted by that Uchiha kid? Well, let's just say the giant robot, that's Naruto. Or as he likes to be called now, his new name, Scrap Drive. And my new name, X Factor. We will be known and feared. At least those of you that are smart should fear us. That is, unless you're willing to play nice. Then maybe we might spare you. After all, you did just see what I was able to do right there, didn't you? My boss, Naruto Uzumaki, also known as Scrap Drive, is a hell of a lot stronger than that. And then you would just hear a voice. Oh, well, Speak of the devil, and speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear, Konohamaru. Or should I say, my right-hand man, X Factor. And Ino would be like, well, what am I supposed to play in this? Why did you drag me out here? And, well, Naruto would just be like, well, you're always fighting with Sakura over Sasuke. Sakura never seemed to actually notice that I loved her. You know, constantly fighting over him. Now you know that he's the reason why I'm like this. What do you think about Sasuke now? And Ino's like, wait, I thought you were kidding. So that's why you were gone whenever you were checked up on by the nurses. The doctor. You were turned into... And Naruto's like, yes. Exactly what happened. And I've been learning a lot about the heritage of the being that I'm apparently supposed to be. Transformer. Original planet Cybertron. However, after a long period of war, Cybertron was completely dismantled from the inside out. There was nothing left but two. One Autobot, one Decepticon. And there, Allsparks merged together, created a fused Allspark inside of me, giving me the power to rule over all other Allsparks. And even create some of my own. How do you think Konohamaru got the way he did? I looked inside of him, saw his true desires, and he told me everything about how his trainer didn't believe him whenever he said about me being here. Konohamaru's feelings for the village have changed, and so have mine. So, if you want to get in our way, go ahead, die. You can choose me or X Factor. See, aren't I nice? I let you choose who kills you if you don't comply. And Ino would just be like, well, after hearing all of that, you really didn't need to threaten me with death. Sakura, she's so blind. I saw it the entire time. The only reason I didn't say anything is because I thought sooner or later she would get it. Sasuke wasn't into her, and that you were completely 100% fawning over her. But she never did. I'm sorry, Naruto. I'm sorry. Though, I have an offer to make on my own. You two seem to have made names for yourselves. Mind if I join the fun? And, well, Naruto was not expecting this, but given the fact that he can just give away free, like, freaking transformations, he's just like, You won't be able to go back to your normal form. Me and Konohamaru have both tried. So, be very careful with the way you say things. And we'll just be like, Naruto, I don't even know anymore. I can't. It's too much. Please. I know a lot of people would be better without me. At least that's what they feel like. Besides, what's a stupid flower shop to whatever's in store for me if I allow this to happen? And Naruto's like, wow, dissing the environment. And not the best way to make an entrance, but sure, whatevs. And so, basically, place his hand on Ino's forehead as she would close her eyes and voice her frustrations, just as Konohamaru had. His feelings all, well, her feelings is what I meant. Her feelings. And then, what happened? What? What is this? My body. And Konohamaru would just be like, feel a little heavier? Well, you just turned into a transformer. At least that's what Naruto calls us. Transformers. That's apparently what we're supposed to be called. Okay, Naruto calls himself Scrap Drive. Well, I call myself X Factor. What about you? I see he's already marked you as number 4. And then Ino would see the number 8 on Konohamaru, in which, kind of like the Espada, they would all be branded with numbers. Ino would be noticing that she was branded with the number 4. And, well, Ino would just be thinking, well, what can I really do? And, well, basically what Ino would be able to do is basically a lot of things that have to do with machines. Like, sort of like emitting power, like shorting out the power of machines, like being able to turn machines back on by rerouting their power to like a stage in which it was back on. Like, he can turn power off, turn power on, reroute power. I mean, she can turn power on, turn power off, turn power, reroute it. Reroute it. And she could even, like, puppeteer around with, like, the intricacies of different, like, robots. And even make her own little creations. But they don't seem to, last more than just a little shadow clone. So they're very easy to destroy. However, they're very, like, the trade-off, like, the fact that they're very easy to destroy is that she can, like, mass produce the hell out of these things. Especially with the more junk that's lying around. Like, the more junk that's lying around, more of these creations she can mass produce. And just like with Naruto not needing much in order to be able to do, like, harder tasks, Ino really doesn't need all that much in order to produce another one of her little toys. And some of these little toys can even be quite useful. Though, literally still, their endurance level is like the level of a shadow clone. So, like, poof, you're gone. But, like, whenever in mass quantities, like, they could basically, like, pull a sorcery and overthrow an entire nation if, like, she was given enough garbage to work with. Like, she can make these things out of freaking, like, the bare minimal basics of garbage. So, the more garbage she's given to work with, the more of these things she can mass produce. And, well, if she mass produces enough of them, they could literally take over an entire nation. Just like with, like, the freaking 1,000 puppets that Sorcery has. However, the fact is, Sorcery only had 1,000 puppet jutsu that he could do. With Ino, as long as she has garbage, she can continue making these things. I mean, like, they have, like, shit durability. That is, unless, like, you use stronger garbage. Like, stronger materials. Like, the stronger the material, the better durability these things will have. Like, if you were to just find chunks of titanium, like, you could make, like, titanium constructs, and, like, if you just find a big lot where you have a bunch of titanium, like, you could just go freaking nuts. Because she needs, like, she doesn't need all that much at all to just create one. And so, like, I guess, like, take, like, a block the size of, like, a slice of cake, a slice of cheesecake. Take a block that size of materials, and she'd probably make, like, I'd say around, if you were wanting to go for the weakest amount of defense possible, 40,000 of these dudes. So, yeah. Basically, if you give her, like, a block the size of a freaking slice of cheesecake, your average cheesecake slice, that's how many, like, 40,000 of these dudes. But that's only if you're, like, looking for the bare minimal amount of defense that these guys could possibly have. And, well, basically, that's going to be a big factor in, well, Ino's name that she's going to make for herself. Seeing as she can pretty much work the whole, like, turning garbage into actual, like, manpower, or like transformer power, like turning garbage into transformer power, just like that, like barely taking any time at all, and like out come like freaking hordes of the shit. So basically, what else can you call that but magic? And that's whenever hits Inko. I mean, not Inko, Ino. Shit. That's whenever it hits her. Magic should be her name. Yes, we now have Scrap Drive, X Factor, and Magic. But who is next? Well, the Hyuga compound will basically be taken by storm by all of these different dudes. Like that Ino would be creating. And Ino would wonder why specifically the Hyuga compound? Why do you want us to attack there? Like, the Hyuga clan are like really dangerous. Like, they could really like mess our shit up bad if we piss them off. And Konohamaru is also a little bit confused, but then he starts to get it, and then he's like, I think we might have another recruit on the way. And so, basically, like, all of, like, the higher class type Hyuga people would be evacuated out of the area. So that would include like Hinata's father, Hinabi, and it would just like be them. Hinata's father would obviously want to go and find whoever the hell was doing this. And so Hinabi and Hinata would be there. Obviously, Hinata just became a ninja, so she would want to protect her family, show that she was strong. However, one of the little guys just decides to smack her on the top of the head, knocking her out. Like, like, like that just did not work. And so Hinabi would be left with no one to defend her, except for like the Hyuga guards. But they would be being overwhelmed by all of the massive numbers that were coming in, like influx. So yeah. And so they would just cheese grade pass through all the freaking Hyuga guards, eventually just like taking them out non-lethally, because these things really don't have chakra points, so none of the Juken Fist style shit is gonna really work. So they just plow straight through. Plus, the Hyuga clan only specializes freaking taijutsu. So, yeah. Not going to be good. So, yeah, they'd basically just get torn through as, like, the hordes and hordes would keep on coming in. And eventually, Like, one of them would indeed open up their mouth to contain a microphone. And a microphone would begin to transmit a voice of someone who was not in the area. Hinabi would call the person a coward for not showing themselves and having their mooks do all the work. And basically, Ino, also known as Magic, basically just shove back into Hinabi's face all of the terrible things that the Hyuga clan has done. And, well, after Hinabi has gotten this, like, rammed into her skull enough times, she's like, and where can I find this scrap drive? If he is the one who is to correct all of these faulties, then where can I find him? And that's whenever Magic would simply say, a friend of mine, his name is X Factor. You can ask him. If his name is X Factor, that means he is my friend. And you can trust him. He will take you to our leader. And I will be there to see some of our own leaders' magic happen. So, eventually, like right as Hinata's father is about to go all out, he would just get one good old-fashioned Roman Reigns Superman punch straight to the jawline, and it would send him crashing straight through the trees all the way into a freaking lake, where he would like hit like a rock wall and just fall into the lake on some sharp rocks. And so, yeah, Hinata and Hinata's father are both out, and X Factor would reveal he kind of had to do that or else things were going to get messy, and that, yes, indeed, his name is indeed X Factor. And Hinata be just like, well then, let's go. And, well, Konohamaru, also known as X Factor, would indeed turn into his fighter jet form and be like, well, come on. Just like open up the door and be like, there's room enough for two. So they would just speed off like, and well, eventually Hinabi would be there, and Hinabi would see all of this, and it would be like, you guys are a family, aren't you? And, well, one of the robots would indeed shake their heads and be like, yep, that's pretty much all we have as family. So, I would hope you'd be able to accept position as our number 6 clause. Now, all the Leaf Village members that I believe will be a good asset to us have been gathered. Now we branch out. soon. I do indeed believe Team 7 will be wanting their C-rank mission soon. And we have to get to a certain person before things can spiral out of control. Those on the list left: Yukito ni Jugo Jugo, and the only reason why it's Jugo Jugo is because he doesn't actually have a he doesn't have a clan name, so it's just Jugo Jugo. Basically, Yukito ni Jugo Jugo, Sakon and Yukon, Sugetsu, Zabuza Momochi, and Kimimaro Kaguya. Those will be the ones that are left. Are targets, you could say. Soon. That would just be where it pans out. And like the Hans Zimmer boom. Like the big old Hans Zimmer boom. And like another boom. Oh, it's finally cuts out because Alan's here and Dallas's because the Dark Maverick is all you had here. Yeah, boys. Like, favorite, subscribe, some in the comment section. Because I'm a bounce.